Welcome back to the show. Penny Wilson is joining us now. She is with Eating for Performance. Penny, thanks for coming in this morning.
Yeah, thanks,
You're
Mark.
a big fan of Joel. I saw that.
I am a big fan of Joel. Really thrilled to get to meet him this morning.
You got your picture taken with him.
Yeah, that's going on Facebook.
It definitely is. Tell us about Eating for Performance. What is it all about?
So what I really do is work with people to help them learn how food impacts how they feel. And that could be energy levels, it could be, aches, pains, brain foggy stuff, digestive issues. We've spent a lot of time talking about digestive issues.
Yeah.
But how we eat really impacts so much of our lives.
Now, this is just a question for me personally. Let's say, I've had no problems throughout the course of my life, and now things changing as I get to a certain age. Does that make sense? I mean, you could be having sensitivity issues now that I wouldn't have had 20 years ago?
Exactly. Our bodies change as we get less young. So
less
yeah,
young. Isn't that older?
I don't like OLD, so we use less young.
Okay.
So yeah, it totally makes sense that things you used to eat now may not agree with you, and just a whole variety of things.
Now, you have some sensitivity testing that you're just kind of starting to do. It's not new, but you're doing it right now. So tell us, how does that process work?
A lot of times what we find is that the foods that people eat make them not feel well, and it could be it causes migraines or just headaches or brain fog or just kind of muscle aches or even joint aches or digestive issues, and trying to figure that out because you don't necessarily think, oh, what I'm eating is causing that. So what this testing does is it's a blood test, and it looks at what are called mediators. And so those are things that your white cells release that then cause symptoms. So if we can figure out what foods are causing the symptoms, we can pull it out, you start feeling better.
So you'll look at the blood, you'll run the test after they've tried a handful of things. Mm-hmm. But is it a process? Because you can't eat 3 things at once that you think you have sensitivity to. It has to probably be one at a time, or no?
Exactly. It's a process. So what we do is we pull out everything that is considered a yellow or a red, so that's more sensitive. So we typically start out with about 20-25 foods, which doesn't sound like a lot, but really it is.
Yeah, it is.
And we start with that, your lowest reactivity foods, for a couple of weeks, and then we start introducing foods back in one by one to see which ones cause the problem.
It seems like gluten there's a lot of talk about gluten recently. So tell me, what about, if you were just to cut gluten out of your diet, what can people expect to see from that? That's not always a solution, right?
It may be part of the solution, but typically it's not the whole solution. So people may cut gluten out and start feeling, 50-60% better, but then there are other foods that they need to pay attention to as well and pull out, but you don't know. And that's the thing with the testing, is it really gives you direction into what foods you need to really start looking at.
Okay, so Penny, how can you know what foods are potentially causing you to feel bad? Obviously get in touch with you and talk to you about it if people are alarmed, but what's a good starting point?
One of the best things that you can do is an elimination diet, and they can be pretty darn challenging, to be honest with you. But if you're going to do something without some testing behind it, we'll typically start by pulling out gluten, dairy, a lot of the nuts and beans and legumes, pull those out and then see what happens, see if you start feeling better. And then same thing, kind of adding things back in, but that's more of kind of a shotgun approach.
Right.
Of we think this is what it is versus having the testing.
And then how long do you have to have those foods out of your system before you may start to notice a difference? Is it 5 days? Is it 2 weeks? Because it doesn't happen overnight, right?
It doesn't happen overnight. Some people feel better in 3 days. Some people it may take a full 2 weeks. So it depends on what their symptoms are and what they're feeling and how much of, some of the toxins are built up in the system. So we've got to get those out as well.
How about if people want to find out more, if they want to contact you for some testing, what's the best way to go about doing that?
You can contact me off my website, eatingforperformance.com, or give me a shout at 713-822-8500.
There is your website right there.
Yay,
huh?
yeah,
like
that's
that.
it.
Penny, thanks for coming in. Nice to see you.
Thanks
Always
again,
a pleasure
Mark.
chatting with you.
Yeah, great
Once
to
again,
see
if you want to find out about your diet, eating properly, if you're having some sensitivity issues, Penny can definitely help you out. We're going to go to Ken now. Forecast for Thursday.